Let me tell you, I am nervous. Super nervous today. You can just tell by my heart rate being in like the 90s, hundreds already. Gonna try to relax. Just wanted to make sure. Oh, shit. Yo! Okay, minute.
That are yet to make their way out onto the track. Oscar Piastri has many fans here, I can tell you that, as does Lando Norris. Lando Norris with the first pole of the season in Australia Oscar Piastri with the 7th front row. He's still waiting for a first pole in Formula One. And here's Carlos Sainz with the Williams team now, a man who has 6 poles to his name. Take us through this lap.
I think they've made quite a lot of changes to the Williams. They were very disappointed in their performance, especially in the sprint. Today, Carlos does have a really wide turn into that first corner, but already this is turn 5. Downhill braking, turn 6. And get the car around, and you've got to have all the braking gear shifting done long before the corner, which you should do on the road as well. And this is the turn 7 I was telling you about, absolutely flat out for a long period of time. 8 left to lift and a couple of downshifts. Keep it to the right hand side because you've got a couple of lefts coming up that are quite tight. A short straight now into a critical little left-hander that sets you up for the next 1.5 miles, 2 kilometers there. Now you've got to get it through 13, picking up the throttle, and you can feel it in the seat of your pants when the car's ready to take full throttle and you launch off that banking. You'll keep it roughly to the left-hand side. Don't waste a meter down the back straight. I mean, the cars are 5 meters long, so if you waste 5 meters, you've wasted a car length. And this is the key point. Where do you hit the brake? He was about 105 meters, connects up with the apex nicely, and again, hard power on. Now, it's slightly unsighted from this angle. Look, this last corner. There you go, turn it in, ride the curb on the exit, but not the gravel. Keep it to the right-hand side for the shortest run to the line, and Sainz does a 33 flat. Kind of okay.
Takes it
Not
third
like that.
fastest. That is not okay for Jack Doohan, who ended the sprints making contact and picked up a 10-second penalty for his efforts with Gabriel Bortoletto, and 2 penalty points on his licence. He's had a little spin in the early parts of this qualifying. And you might see drivers out there for a couple of push laps on the same set of tyres. We saw that in the sprint qualifying in the early stages there, where they'll go for a flying lap and then cool the tyres down and go for it again. So we might see quite a bit of track activity here. And talking of activity, Lando Norris setting a couple of good sectors on his first flying lap. Oscar Piastri has gone a little bit quicker through the first sector than his teammates.
When we saw one of the McLarens go out when Tim was talking, it was on used tyres, so they decided to start on, but that might not be such a bad thing today. You've had a heat cycle through them. That looks, the front of McLaren looks a little bit ponderous there for Lando Norris going through the hip. It looked like he had to wait a long time.
Both McLarens on used soft tyres for this run. Norris goes quicker than Pierre Gasly and quicker than anyone else with a 1:32.0. Lewis Hamilton, meanwhile, wrestling away is his teammate Charles Leclerc, but Hamilton's gone fastest in the middle sector. Pick up Leclerc through the final corner. Is this enough for a top spot for him? No, only 6th fastest for Charles Leclerc. Meanwhile, Hamilton crosses the line and goes quickest of all. About 4/10 up on Lando Norris, and there's Oscar Piastri in the distance, going over the curb and going to the top of the timing charts by a 1/10 of a second from Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, well, I think when we went on board with Leclerc, he was in the middle of a bit of an adventure down at the hairpin. This presumably is going to be Jack Doohan spinning. Yeah, picked up the throttle, got a little bit trigger happy with the throttle pedal there. Too much torque, lights up the rear axle, and round she goes.
Is that just a lack of patience there, Martin? He's just gone too early on it?
Yeah, you've just got to feed the throttle in a little bit with these cars. They've got very long throttle pedals anyway to help the drivers to feed. Yeah, that's what we joined with, and that's why Leclerc is only down in 8th place.
Yeah, he's played second fiddle to his teammates so far this weekend. Has Charles Leclerc, after having the upper hand in the first race in Australia. So we've got Piastri, Hamilton, and now Kimi Antonelli joining the top 3, and ahead of the Alpine of Gasly. Round the final corner comes Max Verstappen to start a flying lap.
And Norris's 32.0 was actually deleted for track limits, so he hasn't got a time on the road.
Yeah, Jack Doohan's had a lap time deleted, obviously, and has dived back into the pits again because he clearly went over the white lines by going off. But that's, whether it be costly or not for Lando Norris, it's certainly not the smooth start to a qualifying session he would have wanted.
He's having a bit of a difficult day. I think they find there's a lot of speed in that McLaren, but they're finding it a little bit knife edge in terms of its handling. They have a few adventures with them. And you'd have to say Lando had quite a downbeat sprint this morning, didn't he? The championship leader.
He did, lost a couple of places at the start, eventually came home to score a point, but that's not what he would have wanted. He leads the championship now by 2 points from this man, Max Verstappen, who's at 10th and a half off through the first couple of stages. Absolutely wrestling this Red Bull car towards the sharp end of the grid. Look how twitchy it is through turn 13 as he tries to get the power down.
And that's why I tipped him as the favourite for the championship this year, because whilst I'm not sure he's got the best car at the moment, he'll always be there. He'll drag it round. He'll stand up in the seat and make it work. But you know, Piastri and Norris are going to take points off each other. Hamilton and Leclerc, same deal. And I think even Russell and Antonelli now as well. You know, Max has got a clear run, and that's going to help him stay in the championship hunt, whatever his car's doing.
Goes fastest of all. Very good final sector for Max Verstappen. 1:31.4 for him. From Piastri, Hamilton and Russell now ahead of Kimi Antonelli. That will catch some attention.
Yeah.
The Red Bull fastest in the final sector.
Yeah. You know, oof. Yeah, that's one of those, as Carlos Sainz found out last year,
Yeah.
can very quickly, you keep your foot in, end up on the inside barrier to his left.
Carlos Sainz who crashed and then managed to get going again and carry on in qualifying. This is where Lando Norris went off the track.
Yeah, and cost him a fair bit of time down there. So, and also cost him the lap, of course.
9 minutes to go, and in the bottom 5 at the moment is Isaac Hadja, who's just set the fastest middle sector on his first flying lap, as Lance Stroll goes 5th fastest. Watch for the track to ramp up and grip up and give us some faster times as this session carries on. Jack Doohan not finding those faster times, though he's about half a second off the pace as Hadja crosses the line, goes 4th fastest, 4/10 down on Max Verstappen.
You know,
90 lap that.
Hadja's got some speed. We saw that last weekend as well. He's got a lot of speed, and you can add control to that speed. What you can't do is add speed if the speed isn't fundamentally there.
Yeah.
So that looks very good for Isaac Hadjar, despite his somewhat tearful inaugural race.
We know Fernando Alonso's got speed. He's gone 5th fastest, make that 6th as Sonoda pops up into the top 4. Gabriel Bortoleto is currently in the top 8 as Doohan crosses the line. He's only 13th fastest. So Bortoleto is currently 8th fastest. His teammate Nico Hülkenberg, who we know is a decent qualifier and certainly proved that for Haas last year, down in 15th now, and he's been out-qualified in the 2 sessions we've had so far, one for the Grand Prix in Australia and one for the sprint, by the young rookie from Brazil. Alex Albon crosses the line, goes 6th fastest, and let's just keep an eye here on Liam Lawson, who needs a steady lap, but it wasn't a steady end to the lap, and only 15th fastest. He's a second off his teammate.
Yeah, I think that started to head off the road, didn't it? He recognised it and did something about it, but that compromised him in the last corner. Yeah, come on, Liam. You need Jack.
I'm nervous today. I think I'm going to get absolutely fucking hammered.
Get some direction, get some confidence.
I like how that little last bit of zone fucking 5.
Back in 2009, although that worked out quite nicely for Sebastian Vettel in the end, as Nico Hülkenberg puts in the usual sort of lap we expect from him and goes 7th fastest. Lee Stevenson, the chief mechanic, knows all about days at Red Bull. He used to be there, of course. Now, here is Ollie Behrman in the Haas. And Ollie Behrman has shown glimpses of speed so far this weekend as well. Was unlucky, I think, to miss out on the final part of qualifying for the sprint.
He was another lad with great speed and potential. There's no doubt about it. As I said, that's what you're looking for in the rookies. Have they got fundamental pace? Because you could build the rest of it around them. And we know Behrman has from last year, of course.
Ollie Behrman, first driver to score points for 2 different teams in his first 2 starts in Formula 1. Takes his Haas 7th fastest, puts it ahead of Nico Hülkenberg. We're back on board now with Charles Leclerc. I think has cooled off and gone for it again. He hasn't set a particularly brilliant first sector at 24.4. Lando Norris, meanwhile, 4/10 up on that, and a couple of tenths up on what we'd seen as a previous best in that first sector. So having it an easy ride here is Charles Leclerc. Liam Lawson's another one to radio in to say that he's still struggling, and tyre temperature was very much his struggles in qualifying yesterday. George Russell does a 24.3 for the first sector, and we've got the stopwatch on Kimi Antonelli as well with a 24.1. That's pretty comparable. Norris has dropped a little bit in the middle part of the lap, but he's still very much in touch to go ahead of Max Verstappen as Leclerc makes his way round the final corner. It's starting to get a bit critical, this, for Charles Leclerc, who only goes 10th fastest.
Yeah, 15 go through. That's a bit nervy. Has he got any fuel on board for another go? Norris, like you said, a couple of tenths shy in the middle of the lap. What's he got at the end of the lap? This should get him. Oh, he had to grab a handful of opposite lock there as well, didn't he?
Didn't he just? 6th fastest, lost time in the final sector with that moment at the final turn. Round the final corner goes Kimi Antonelli. He goes 3rd fastest. Charles Leclerc, we didn't see, he was in the first sector, clatter the curb quite heavily at turn 2, and that's what cost him the time there. And Liam Lawson has been noted by race control for failing to slow under yellow flags, which I assume was when Jack Doohan had his little spin. That might be something that could affect him a little bit later on as well.
It's odd, isn't it? I mean, Lando was close to perfect in one of the most challenging races last weekend, and he's had so many incidents today and near misses, and it looks like he just lacks belief in the car at the moment.
Yeah. This is Liam Lawson through the foot. Getting all sorts in the small pot there.
Yeah, that's the bit when I was telling you about if their tyres are not where they need to be. That low, I mean, turn 1's an approach zone into turn 2, basically, and then you need the mechanical grip of the tyre. Ted, what can you tell us?
Just looking down to Williams, the mechanic is just putting the hold sign up for Carlos Sainz to come out, but he really needs to get on with it. Just waiting to see if there's a...
I am so nervous.
He needs to take a new set of tyres.
All right, let's get this going, huh?
He's going to be out with that lap. It's not going to be good enough. Doohan's isn't going to be good enough. Lawson's isn't going to be good enough. And Leclerc is under pressure as well. You need to be solidly in the high 131s, or as Leclerc is. Leclerc might sneak through, Crofty, on a 32.0. That was about the cutoff, but he's going again.
Yeah, I think you've got to be safe rather than sorry on this one. Good news for Liam Lawson, no further investigation for failing to slow under yellow flags. That's a very slow-moving Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, he's doing tyre management, isn't he? And then he's got plenty of time to do another lap. And do you know what? He really will need it. It'll need to be a good one, because there's a lot of cars coming out on fresh tyres, and Charles Leclerc is very much under pressure here, trying to rescue this run.
Now, we're high up in the grandstand in our commentary box here, and we can see the flags, and we know that the wind has swapped around. It was coming right to left as we look down the main straight on board with Lewis Hamilton. It's now coming left to right, and maybe that rather caught out Lewis Hamilton there, and why he lost time on that particular lap. But the wind certainly seems to have rotated around. Meanwhile, rotating around an awful lot faster are the tyres, and Bernie's got some information for us.
Yeah, Crofty, so I was just about to say, how safe do you feel if you're Verstappen? Because that's the question now. Pretty much everyone has gone out on a new set of soft tyres, apart from Verstappen, and Tsunoda hadn't, but has just as well. So those new sets are being used by people that you wouldn't even expect, like Piastri, like Norris. They're finding significant time on that, and that means that those types of driver have only got 3 new sets for the rest of this qualifying session. So if you use 2 in Q2, that's only 1 for Q3. So Verstappen may be slightly with the upper hand at this stage because he's staying in the garage.
Well, if he gets through, he's got the upper hand. But, you know, you play the lottery, I play the lottery. You've got to be in it to win it, Martin.
You have. I think I certainly saw one McLaren going out on used tyres in the beginning of this session, so they probably bolted on perhaps their first new set. I don't know. Bernie's keeping an eye on it, but yeah, the pack is so close as we move towards the end of this sort of regulation phase, where they're very mature, the regulations.
Yeah, Josh, just so it's clear.
My legs are a little sore.
So George Russell with a 132.0. Mercedes don't think that that's...
It's a good thing I have tomorrow off, but this isn't going to make today any easier.
For example, Leclerc's at the back of it, and Beerman's at the front of it.
Here we go then. Fernando Alonso, 24.1 for the first sector. Not bad, but not great for Fernando Alonso. And along with him, a 24.2 for his teammate Lance Stroll. Bortoleto, 24.3. Leclerc, 24.3 for the first sector, and Hulkenberg with that same 24.3. That's not a good sector for Charles Leclerc either. Needs to be a couple of tenths quicker than that to be in the right ballpark. Piastri 24.0 for that first sector. Track temperature pretty much the same as it was when qualifying started. It's not really cooling down much, which would help the drivers out there at the moment. We've got on board with Charles Leclerc, and it still doesn't look the easiest Ferrari in the world to try and drive. A decent middle sector. Norris has gone fastest in the first sector though, and Tsunoda has gone quickest in the middle sector as Fernando Alonso brakes for the hairpin. Nico Hulkenberg goes 7th fastest. Behrman is 11th fastest and in a bit of trouble, you would imagine. Alonso round the final corner now. Checkered flag is out, and he takes the checkered flag to go 6th fastest overall. Doohan and Lawson need a lap time. Sainz, Gasly and Ocon need a better lap time. And we're on board with Charles Leclerc, who is hovering around that danger zone. And Ferrari celebrated pole in the sprint with Lewis Hamilton. And that's a much better effort from Charles Leclerc to go 2nd fastest.
He did well, didn't he? Kept his head, Tsunoda goes fastest. And yeah, so that Leclerc was very much in the danger zone without that somewhat impressive effort.
Here comes George Russell. We need this lap, said Mercedes, and he delivered to go 2nd fastest, just behind Yuki Tsunoda. Next across the line is Isaac Hadjar, and Hadjar has just lost him on the timing screen for a minute. Gone 2nd fastest behind Lando Norris. So this track is really improving all the time as Sainz goes 8th fastest, and we've still got Doohan improving, Lawson improving, Gasly and Ocon, and now Alex Albon to go 6th fastest overall. Next across the line will be Pierre Gasly. Ollie Behrman is hovering around the danger zone. Make that in the danger zone as Gasly puts himself out of it. Oh, and Jack Doohan nearly coming a cropper at the final corner. Lawson is out, Doohan is out. That cost him that error at the final turn. Ocon should go through in 13th place.
And that pushed Gasly out at that point. So both Alpines out. Behrman 2, Bortoletti and Lawson. Lawson plumb last again.
He is having a major struggle, is Liam Lawson, at the start of his Red Bull career in what is his 12th Grand Prix weekend. This is Lance Stroll. Ooh, was that Ollie Behrman moving over and rather blocking him as he came onto the back straights? And that has been noted by race control for impeding. So, for Pierre Gasly, it's another 16th on the grids. Jack Doohan was 17th in the sprint, and he's now 18th. Ollie Behrman in that bottom 5 too. Gabriel Bortoleto been out-qualified by Nico Hulkenberg, and Liam Lawson struggling all the way through those 18 minutes. And what will Dr. Marco think about what has happened here? It wasn't looking that result. Say about it. Lando Norris fastest from Isaac Hadjar. breakers in real life as well, Martin. And the man who was a friend to us all, and who's been really, really since our night where we lost her sad, sad news coming through yesterday.
It's really weird when you hear that. I've seen men in the paddock with close range. And you had that before. It's a horrible feeling. It's like, it's anything. Maybe not, because everybody is looked a bit like they used to work. But, yeah. Being told how much money we owe him, because we adored the banter.
I don't know much of mine, but I know that Eddie will have absolutely loved the action that we've seen so far this weekend. And we'll be pacing up and down within the paddock while qualifying is going on. He's a man that would never ever stand still. A bit like Ricky. So, here we go then. Cars coming out onto the track. Second part of qualifying. Some restricted by tyre usage. Some restricted by the abilities of their car. And some with a bit more confidence than others. I wonder where George Russell's confidence is at the moment. Perhaps in the radio, it seemed like, look, exactly what I'm expected to do and what I think I can do, and I'm fully in control.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's like team leader. Okay, everybody, let's calm down. Let's just run this methodically. Of course, we only get a fraction of the radio calls broadcast, so it's very easy to overreact. Even sometimes we only get half of something, and because we can't. It's not a team radio show. It's a qualifying show, and we've got to show the track action, of course. But it's very easy to misread into sometimes.
And you could listen to a team radio listener on our onboard channel, and if you're Bernie Comics, you can probably listen to 4 all at once. Can you hear me, Bernie?
I'm trying to listen to as many as I can, folks. It's really testing my technical skills. But just having a look through George Russell's particular lines, I think this is what he's getting at, reading between the lines. On the second front mid, you saw front mid, push, push. And that put pressure on that final lap when he'd already done one lap in that team set. So not understood, single lap runs, they went from push, and it sounds like that was what was making them a little bit unhappy in Q1, because they were really testing what was effectively a lead time.
Thanks ever so much, Bernie, but engineers will work out what the best run plan is. On a good day, it fits in with what the driver wants to do. On a bad day, well, someone's going to make some compromises somewhere.
It looks nicely dialed in at the moment, though, for George Russell.
Well, he's 24-2 in the first section ahead of this man. His teammates in the Antonelli.
Yeah. The class, yeah, the Mercedes looks quite nice at the moment in this phase. And I wonder, it's F26, track temps dropped a couple of degrees. We're just getting into a bit more of a sweet spot as it's now up to 3 in the afternoon again.
Antonelli will have picked up a pretty nice slipstream away from Charles Leclerc down that back straight. Meanwhile, Tsunoda has just done the fastest first sector. Still, straight away, by Fernando Alonso in the Aston Martin. Antonelli opens up the DRS, puts in a 1:31.5, so 10th quicker than he managed in the first part of qualifying. And George Russell with a 1:31.3. As, yeah, looking like he's building some things.
Albeit slightly slower than Q1 for George Russell.
On board now with the Racing Bulls of Isaac Hadjar. Great view of the Melbourne Canyon. Under the bridge he goes. 4th fastest for Hadjar, but he took 2 passes.
Well, that's nice to see how he's done as much as he can, isn't it? Yeah, like you think, I drove this stuff in my days last year. When you're in it, you don't see any of that nonsense that's going on. That's true. You're just looking across the top of the tyres.
Most of the back of it is Yuki Tsunoda took the final corner there because the rear of the tyres screaming. It's second fastest for Tsunoda. That Racing Bull was really racing as Piastri now goes a 10th up on George Russell and goes fastest overall. Well, I don't think he's going to last very much longer at the top of the standings because here comes Lando Norris, and Lando Norris with fastest second
I'm fucking toast. Where is...
I think it's just time. Unfortunately, I don't really have time, but it's just one of those things that, I mean, to drive a Formula One car, it's, you know, it takes 100% confidence in what you're doing, and it's not that I don't feel confident, but the window's so small that right now I just seem to miss it, and it's that I just need to get a handle of. So yeah, I don't know how else to put it really. It's just not good enough.
Honest assessment from Liam Lawson, who I think could do with a week off from the racetrack.
Yeah, and he's going to get that, isn't he, before Japan? But it's difficult times, and every time he gets out of the car and sees Tsunoda right up there, he'll feel even more nervous, I think, in that position. He was 7/10 off Verstappen in Q1 that dropped him out. Verstappen was third, he was 20th. And you think, wow, that's a half a tenth per corner, that's doable, but it's not. It's so hard to find. It's a fundamental shift you need to find 7/10 of a second. So, but you know, the good thing is Liam's not making a lot of excuses. He's saying, I've got to do something better, do something different, and that's the right attitude. And it's an attitude the team will be able to cope with. If you get out and start blaming the tyres, the gearbox, or whatever, they don't take kindly to that.
That's very true. Talking of tyres, used tyres for the two Mercedes and the two Ferrari on their first runs in Q2. We have a little lull now while the tyres get changed and we wait for the cars to come back out. So good time to mention that time of a 1:30.787 for Lando Norris, which we thought was good, and is good enough to be the new all-time lap record here in Shanghai. So anything that beats that is also going to be a new lap record, and I dare say we will be getting somewhere in the 1:30.3s, 1:30.4s by the time we go for pole.
That's proper fast, isn't it? To be sub 91 seconds around here. Wow, that's a lot of energy going on. Ted has news.
So a used tyre for Oscar Piastri, so watch out for that. Everyone else I can see passing me on new tyres, new for the Aston Martin, new for the two Mercedes who've really gone ahead of the queue, Antonelli and Russell, maybe spurred on by Russell's pep talk earlier to his team that he doesn't want any panics, decided to get out there early. But Isaac Hadjar, after starring in Q1, really having a bit of a harder time now in Q2. A bit aggressive on the throttle, saw traction, some poor traction around the back of the circuit. That's why he's down there at the moment. But he'll be hoping to get through into Q3.
Yeah, 4 minutes to go then, and the bottom five. Carlos Sainz, who is joining the queue of teammates that get out-qualified by Alex Albon, who's been out-qualified just twice by a teammate in the last couple of seasons at Williams. It's last 47 races, he's only been out-qualified twice by his teammate. Well, Sainz is in that bottom five, along with Fernando Alonso, and Isaac Hadjar, Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll. And the difference between Stroll, who's out, Hulkenberg, who's in, is about 5/100ths of a second. It's very, very tight indeed. In fact, if you were Hulkenberg and if you were Stroll, you can improve by a couple of tenths. You'd go somewhere around 6th fastest at the moment.
Yeah, somebody could have a stunning qualifying here. Somebody we would normally consider midfield could have a storming grid position out of pure performance and not other factors here this afternoon. So yeah, as Bernie pointed out, Piastri out on used tyres, everybody else showing on newish ones at the moment, although they don't look particularly new as they head into turn 4. We'll wait for that to update.
George Russell, who is still just cooling the tyres. Mercedes do this occasionally, don't they? They go out for what looks like a flying run, but now they'll do a second preparation lap.
Yeah. So I always thought it was a bit odd when we started the sprint concept. So you add another qualifying session to the weekend, you add a mini race to it, but they're taking away one set of tyres.
That's right.
But it's the same for everybody. So you've got 12 sets of dry tyres for a weekend rather than 13. And that puts an extra dimension into it, and it's more eco, and I guess it makes sense, but initially I thought, hang on, one more quali, one more race, and you've got one less set of tyres. Where's the logic?
Wasn't sure.
The magic is stuck. Okay.
That's the brake magic.
Yeah, I think so, isn't it? Is that what Lewis had?
That's right.
With that moment in
And that
Baku,
shifts the brake bias.
Yeah, that probably cost him a world championship, didn't it?
It's
down into that day in Baku.
I remember it well from the restart. George Russell, I thought, was on a second preparation lap, but he's actually on a flying lap, but only 4th fastest. Is not really an improvement. Antonelli is going very slowly indeed, has time to get to the line and start the lap. Hamilton's just aced the middle sector. Charles Leclerc pretty handy in the first sector as well. Everyone out on the track bar Lando Norris for a final flying run in this Q2. So Antonelli will keep an eye on and see if they've corrected that problem as Nico Hulkenberg now goes 9th fastest for Haas, improves by about a 10th of a second. For Sauber, his new team, improves by a 10th.
Bernie at Sky Race Control telling me that Antonelli's been told all is okay, carry on.
Lewis Hamilton knows it all is okay. He's carried on, but only gone 6th fastest. Lewis Hamilton. The final sector was not good for Lewis. Dropped about 4/10 compared to the best sector time that we'd had. So keep an eye on that, see who can improve behind him. Charles Leclerc is currently in the top 10. He's 10th, made that 6th fastest only, but ahead of his teammate Lewis Hamilton. With Antonelli now on a flying lap, going well in the first sector. Ocon on a flying lap. Pretty handy sector times for him, 1 and 2 sectors, and goes 10th fastest, knocks out Nico Hulkenberg in the Sauber, the man he replaced at Haas this year. Isaac Hadjar goes 4th fastest for the Racing Bulls, who are on for a really impressive Q3. If they can keep
this is going to be interesting.
Pushes Ocon into the bottom 5. We're on board now with Kimi Antonelli. The young 18-year-old, the checkered flag is out. It's not been a particularly brilliant lap this for Antonelli. He's currently 9th fastest.
I thought Russell was going to give him a massive slipstream down the back straight, but he got out of the way. Antonelli then stays right, shortest run to the line and doesn't go faster.
Remains 9th fastest. Carlos Sainz is on a decent lap. Fernando Alonso has set the personal best in the first sector. Alonso crosses the line, goes ahead of his teammate, but he is out of qualifying. Round the final corner comes Carlos Sainz. Can he knock his teammate Alex Albon out? No, he can't. Albon out qualifies him for the second Grand Prix running. Sainz down in 15th, and Antonelli will hang on in that 9th spot as one by one they tried to depose him and couldn't. Lando Norris with the fastest time from Max Verstappen. I suppose the big surprise there is Carlos Sainz and his qualifying pace again.
Yeah, he's definitely... what's going to happen here with young Kimi? It's just it washed out to the outside, got on the dirty bit, and it's so annoying. You've kind of blown the lap before you start, and I would say the other surprise there is the lack of pace of Ferrari generally there compared to what we saw in sprint quali, in the sprint itself. I know they weren't on, they were on fresh tyres right at the end there, but 7/10 of Norris. But we do know if McLaren really link up, get the 3 bells up, get all...
Crazy old laps.
Needed a calendar to time those by the sound of it, as far as... what did he say, glacial, he said, yeah?
I thought it was crazy out laps.
I thought he said
Could be
glacial laps.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Either way, we've lost 5 then. Carlos Sainz, Paul Williams is out. Lance Stroll is out. Fernando Alonso is out. Nico Hulkenberg has Sauber's highest start of the season and is out. And Esteban Ocon has qualified 8 places higher than he did in Australia, and he's out too. It's Norris, Verstappen and Piastri, the top 3. The Racing Bulls looking pretty racy as well.
Okay, just snuck in. No whisker.
God! God!
I clearly felt the change. Ah, could have pushed more.
Isaac Hadjar there, very happy so far with his qualifying performance, and he should be. 2nd in Q1, 4th in Q2. Let's take a look at that Q2 lap. It's a really good effort so far for a rookie who's never been to the circuit before. Chucks it into turn 1. Look at his hands there. The car looks like it's working well. Slight corrections just to try and get into that second apex, but we've seen other people struggling with more. Bit wide off the curb at the left-hander of 3, but that's not so much of a problem these days because you can carry the minimum speed. Up into turn 6 now in the slow speed corners. The Racing Bulls have had very good rotation. That was their strength in Melbourne. And once again, it really looks like they can carry good apex speed around the slower corners. Watch his hands here now. Nice and smooth, I have to say, through turns 7, 8, and now coming into 9. Nice and controlled. No real instability there in those sort of changes of direction. And again, through 10, the traction good. Coming up to the end of the second sector. Now we turn hard left into 11. A little bit deep, didn't quite hook up that inside curve as well as we've seen other people doing. Seesawing at the wheel a little bit. Goes for the lower line in terms of a shorter distance in terms of traction. We've seen other people taking a high line, but Isaac preferring the low line onto the long back straight. Time to pick the braking point now. There, on the anchors, get it stopped. Again, that slow speed rotation from the Racing Bulls working well for him. Opens up the wheel well to get a good straight line exit and then charges up to the final corner. Nice and smooth with the wheel there as well. And really a nice tidy lap. Well done, Isaac Hadjar. More of the same in Q3.
And Yuki Tsunoda, his teammate, 5th fastest in Q2, where of course he qualified in Melbourne. We see the Ferrari pit wall there, Martin, and waiting for the cars to come out. A lot of people will be waking up back in the UK thinking, yeah, Lewis Hamilton won the sprint, and now asking, where's Ferrari's pace gone?
Well, let's see when it all shakes out now with presumably a couple of runs on those brand spanking new shiny tyres, the shiny as they come out of the mould, until you can get a few hundred metres on them. And of course then in about 10 miles, 15 kilometres time, they'll hate them because they're used by then, and they won't give you the grip. But yeah, now we're going to see, this is it, least fuel, most power, greatest attack, and we get the pure speed of Formula One.
Bernie Collins at Sky Race Control can tell us who's on new tyres for these first runs in Q3.
Well, hopefully I can, Crofty. I can tell you definitely who has 2 new sets available. So that's the McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes and Verstappen. Both have 2 new sets of soft available. With 1 set of soft, we've got the 2 RBs, Tsunoda and Hadjar. And with no new softs, we've got Albon. Now that's allowed in sprint, or that's allowed in main qualifying because it's a sprint weekend. It's not normally allowed. Normally you have to save a new set for Q3.
So Lewis Hamilton with just the 1 set of new softs, and so going out probably on a used set for his first run?
No, sorry, 2 new sets. We've got McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes and Verstappen. So 7 drivers with 2 new sets of soft.
Yeah, well, Albon's done what we said, isn't it? Get yourself into the top 10 shootout, and then you haven't got anything left, but you're in the top 10. So it's a decent grid slot for Williams.
Absolutely.
They probably were, unless somebody doesn't set a time, of course, then he could beat those. He might beat some of them anyway. Let's have a look. But so that worked for him. And as Bernie points out, the rules are slightly different on a sprint weekend. Because you've got less tyres, you are allowed to use take them, burn all your tyres up and not have at least one qualifying tyre ready for Q3 because it's a sprint weekend.
You remember when Max Verstappen used to come out the pits and wanted to get a move on and get a bit irritated by slower moving cars in front?
Yeah.
George Russell's just done a Verstappen to Verstappen on that one. And Alex Albon says the wind has picked up. And if I look out of our commentary box window, not only is it picked up, but it's also changed its angle a bit. So when you go into turn one, you're then getting into a headwind. It's blowing right to left along the main straight. I don't know what's on fire in the distance there, Martin, but that's showing us clearly where the wind is coming from. There's smoke.
Thankfully, it's not still Heathrow. They've sorted that out, haven't they? But it's 2.2 metres per second. I don't know what that is on the Beaufort scale, but drafty, I'd have thought, more than anything. Nothing more than that.
Might necessitate a comb through the hair after you've been through it. Right, here goes Max Verstappen. His first flying lap then in this qualifying session. The man who was on pole last year.
Yeah, knows his way around here, and Max is a man for all day, every day, isn't he? In a Formula One car, never gives up and powers through turn 4, keeps it right, shortest run for this little nothingy kink, downhill braking. Get the car in, pick the throttle up, squeeze the throttle, you feel the grip, go! Give it full beans. This should be absolutely flat out. He's got a bit of traffic distracting him, but that shouldn't have been a problem. A couple of downshifts, stay right, stay right, stay right. Open up these two left-handers. Don't take any curb because it's really slippery on those. Short straight, and you take a very, very late turn in to this little left-hander here. Big crank of the steering wheel. Now this is an important corner. That's quite well glued down, isn't it? That's a Red Bull. He just got it right on the edge of grip, of traction. If you're going fast in a racing car, you're always sliding a little bit. Now, again, stay marginally left, don't go through the dirt on the absolute left, but you want to open up this right-hand hairpin. Get it in early. You've got to
oh shit, I really need a fan.
You can hear the rasp of that Honda exhaust and this unsighted, really fast corner that nips through the exit. It all looked lovely, didn't it?
Well, what's his time? A 1:30.9, couple of tenths quicker than he managed for his best time in Q2. Kimi Antonelli disturbs the gravel as he makes his way around the final corner, and that's cost him in the final sector 4 tenths to Verstappen. Piastri has set 2 purples so far on his lap in terms of sector times. Hadja goes second fastest on a used set of tyres. Here comes his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, who was 5th on the grid for the season opener in Australia, and he's 3rd on the grid at the moment, equaling his best in Formula One so far.
I tell you, Racing Bull, somebody's going to have a stonking result here. And Piastri then, the short run to the line.
Piastri, 7 front rows in his Formula One career, no poles. He's now on provisional pole by 2 tenths of a second. And Bruce McLaren, the McLaren founder, had 7 front rows without a pole position. Oscar Piastri's levelling that at the moment, but he's on that provisional pole as Hamilton goes 3rd fastest for Ferrari, and that's a bit more like it for Ferrari fans wondering where the pace had gone. What about Leclerc, though? He is next to cross the line. Charles Leclerc to the line, behind Hamilton by 1/10 of a second. Ferrari sharing the 2nd row. Lando Norris will be next to cross the line, and by 9/100ths of a second is beaten to provisional pole by his teammate Oscar Piastri. Ferrari hold that front row again as they did in Melbourne, but this time it's the other way round. Piastri ahead of Norris.
Keeping an eye on George Russell, who's doing a pretty solid lap time out there as well. But yeah, they've found some pace in the Ferrari. It's about 1/4 of a second shy at the moment for Hamilton and 1/3 of a second for Leclerc. What can George do in these final 2 corners? A little bit of wheel spin coming out of the hairpin there. Throws it in and goes through the gravel. His teammate kicked up onto the racetrack. Russell, P5, splits the Ferraris.
George Russell, I think, might have done 2 preparation laps before that push lap there. He, if you remember, got ahead of Max Verstappen, and then we saw when we were commentating on Verstappen's lap, that was Russell that he passed. I don't know if he made a mistake going at the turn 1. This is Antonelli kicking up the gravel, and he gets his lap time deleted as a result for exceeding track limits because he's gone over the white line.
Fair cop.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so bit of damage to the floor, I have no doubt as well. But Antonelli loses the lap time, spreads gravel on the track. He needs to go again. It cost him about 0.3 of a second in that final sector. That's all bobbing through the gravel.
So this is where Oscar Piastri had the advantage to Lando Norris, and in the final sector Norris clawed a 1/10 of a second back, which might have been when we saw him going through the hairpin in the gravel there.
Yeah, so we've got the repechage, haven't we? We go again. Quick sip of fuel.
So that top 10, with Antonelli with no time at all, the ones that intrigue me are Hadja and Tsunoda, who are both on used soft tyres for that run. And have they got the pace, I wonder, to trouble Hamilton, Verstappen, Russell, fourth, third and fifth at the moment, based on what we've seen so far in this qualifying?
When they put a new set of boots on, one of them has. Yeah, or both of them maybe. Let's see. So you can only refuel at 0.8 of a second per litre, which is a slightly random number, isn't
How
it?
does that equate to when I go and fill up me estate car back home then?
Well, are you looking at the price or the litres?
Always the price, Martin. Always the price.
Which seems to go up quite quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, a lot quicker than it did when I first started driving, it has to be said. Yeah, next time, just try and count how fast the litres are going in as you're filling up your car at the station. Probably is done an awful lot quicker in Formula One. Ted Kravitz, down in the pit lane. Where are you, sir?
Well, I'm around the sort of Aston Martin Mercedes area, and even from here, Crofty, I can sense the sigh of relief on the McLaren pit wall, because whatever they've changed has worked. They've realised that to protect the tyres, you need to be starting on the front row, preferably in pole position, and that's worked for Oscar Piastri, and it's worked for Lando Norris. Oh, that is a plum unsafe release. Max Verstappen into the Red Bulls.
It's the Racing Bulls.
The Racing Bulls. That is Max absolutely went into the slow lane, and that's a big fine coming the Racing Bulls way.
Right. Well, we will see a replay of that in a moment, Ted, I'm sure.
So what did you say, Ted? They interrupted Max, or Max interrupted them?
Well, let's have a look, because I think we're about to get a replay. Here comes Max. So I assume it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Hadja interrupting Max. Yeah. Whoever was waving Isaac Hadja out of his garage didn't look right, and should have looked right, because Max was coming. No, that was never going to be the right time to release him.
No, that must be so difficult to do for everybody in the pit lane, because blankets have to come off, car goes down, wave the driver out. How long does it take the driver to engage the gear, or if you hit anti-stall or something? And it's not a precise art just pulling out the garage like that. But of course, they've got to get it right.
Here we go then. Just under 3 minutes to go, and it's McLaren with another front row lockout. 66 times previously in Formula One. They've locked out the front row, 2 fewer than Ferrari. Is number 67 coming their way, and is Oscar Piastri about to take his first pole position in Formula One on this Shanghai Saturday afternoon after 7 front row appearances, equal with Bruce McLaren for the number of appearances on the front row without a pole position.
Yeah, Isaac Hadjar not wanting another call from Dr. Helmut Marko this week, and lets Max Verstappen through. Hope it doesn't compromise his prep for his lap, but they need to be nice and slow to get those pressures down. And will they pull the pin immediately? Will they go for it?
Let's see. Just to complete that Bruce McLaren analogy there, Lando Norris has 27 career podiums, which is exactly what Bruce McLaren managed in his career as well. Verstappen then on his way to his final flying lap, barreling in at some speed into turn 1, currently third on the grid.
He makes that decision to turn in at 190 miles an hour, 310 kph, and it needs to be inch or centimetre perfect.
Hasn't had a pole since Austria last season, Max Verstappen. It's a run of 14 races, and yes, I know he was quickest in Spa and in Qatar in Q3, but he didn't take pole position because of penalties that day. He's done a 23.9 for the first sector, which is very handy, but Lando Norris has matched it in the McLaren. So it's neck and neck, Verstappen and Norris. Hamilton a tenth off through the first sector. Hadja a couple of tenths off in the first sector. Antonelli a couple of tenths off in the first sector. And the middle sector for Verstappen, a couple of tenths shy of what he needed. Piastri with a 23.9 matching Norris and Verstappen through the first part of the lap.
Yeah, you're right. Max lost a couple of tenths there, but still plenty of time. The last sector's 40 seconds to do something about it.
Lando Norris has also dropped time in the middle part of the lap, and by a little bit more than Max Verstappen. It's looking good for Piastri at this moment, but he'll be the last of the top three to cross the line. Hamilton, it's not looking brilliant for him in terms of taking a second pole this weekend as Verstappen gets onto the curb, dashes to the line, can't improve on third place. That run without a pole continues. Isaac Hadja throwing his car into the final corner, goes seventh fastest for his best start in Formula One. He's been noted as well for an unsafe release, and Lando Norris aborts his lap, which is going to leave Oscar Piastri with his first pole position in Formula One, unless Ferrari can do something about it. Here comes Lewis Hamilton, stays on that second row alongside Max Verstappen. Round the final corner comes Oscar Piastri. It is pole for Piastri, and he's gone even faster. It's the first pole in Formula One, and he's set a new lap record here in Shanghai in the process.
Well deserved. He's been shaping up to do that as Oscar Piastri driven beautifully with two very strong laps.
Holy hell.
Muscless Ferrari higher up the order than sixth on the grid. George Russell currently fifth for Mercedes and improving on his lap. Leclerc will stay sixth fastest. Tsunoda has pitted and will start ninth on the grid. As the times, not all these drivers improving on their second runs. George Russell, DRS open, heads to the line and heads to the front row. He split the two McLarens. And I said not all the drivers were improving, but George Russell found some pace, and Piastri gets pole from Russell, and the margin, 82 milliseconds.
Russell found 0.6 of a second from Q2. He upshifted halfway through the final corner. Just after the apex, George Russell upshifted.
Wow.
He took some speed through there.
Well, they picked the right man to follow. Piastri in Papaya on pole, but George Russell got a lot closer, I think, than many people were thinking. Said he had a plan, said he was quite calm about it, came and delivered.
I think that was the hairpin of my life.
Yeah, that was some good stuff there. So that is P1. P1, well done, mate. Pole position. Great job.
Very nicely done. Thank you. I just had a little scream in my helmet, so I'll not burst your eardrums, but thanks everyone. It was a bit of a journey to get there, but well done.
Devilish for
very good.
Good for him. His first pole in the main race in Formula One, and thoroughly well deserved. Both of his laps would have been fast enough to get the job done.
He becomes the 107th driver in the history of the Formula One World Championship to take a pole position. The last new pole sitter in Formula One to actually start from pole was George Russell, Hungary in 2022. That's if you discount Kevin Magnussen in Sao Paulo, where he got pole, did the sprint, and didn't start the Grand Prix on pole, if you know what I mean. But Piastri will start alongside George Russell for tomorrow. And the pole margins this year, as I said, 82 milliseconds today. It was 84 milliseconds in Australia. Now, when you said in all our pre-season previews it was going to be close, did you think it was going to be this close?
I hoped it was, but it is. We picked this season up, and it's looking even better than I did hope.
And it's looking very good for Piastri, who suffered huge disappointment, of course, in Australia in his home race. He's bounced back to take second place in the sprint earlier today, and now to take pole for the Grand Prix. 2 Grand Prix wins to his name, both have come from second place, and we hope to lead him out from start to finish tomorrow. Getting the feeling George Russell is up for fights at Mercedes. And he's picking up points, George Russell, without being spectacular so far this season. Did it in the sprint again today.
Yep.
Certainly did it in Australia to come home and get that podium.
Yeah, he's just been out of frame, hasn't he? We've barely talked about him because in the 2 races we've had so far, the Aussie Grand Prix and the sprint, and George will be well satisfied with that front row. And he very much, I thought, drove and acted like a team leader in that session.
And heads over to his team. Say thank you. Well, they say well done. It's his 4th front row start in the last 6 races. And it's his highest start here in Shanghai. I don't think he's ever started higher than 8. Oscar Piastri, he was 5th on the grid here last year. That's why it was the hairpin of his life, because he was 2 tenths down.
Well, as I always say, you spend more time in a slow corner than a fast corner, and that's where the magic happens.
So Piastri, Russell and Norris, the top 3. Jolyon Palmer has the microphone in his hand and he's waiting to talk to them now.
Well, Lando, you're back in the top 3, but I sense you're a little bit disappointed with that one. Not able to hook up the final lap. How was it for you out there?
Yeah, I mean, always disappointed if I'm not on pole, but Oscar deserves it today. He's done a very good job all weekend, so happy for him, his first pole in Formula 1, so it's always cool. Yeah, just a couple of mistakes again. Kind of been my case this weekend, but the car was feeling a bit better today. I felt a lot more comfortable with the car, so a step in the right direction, especially from yesterday where I was struggling a lot, and even this morning I was struggling a lot. A much better direction that we're going in, so yeah, not too disappointed.
And we're seeing so much pace from you so far this season, but we are seeing a few laps not completed quite as you would want them. A couple of errors here or there you allude to. Is the car really tricky to drive at the moment? Is it difficult to get it on the knife edge, just absolutely spot on?
I mean, yeah, I've said that plenty of times, so it is. It's so quick enough, you know, we're never doubted that it's the quickest car. It can just be a little bit feisty at times, but no, today is not so much that. Today was just mistakes from my side, and that's all.
And in terms of a race, you had the sprint earlier, didn't go your way at all, but can you learn from that? Did you change the car much? How are you feeling for tomorrow?
Yeah, we changed quite a lot on the car because we were nowhere, and yeah, we were.
Oh, this is a crazy workout.
And hopefully for the race tomorrow, so we'll see.
All right, good luck for tomorrow, Lando. George, what a performance on the front row in 2025. How was that for you?
Feels incredible, to be honest. It was one of the hardest quali sessions I've done in a long, long time, and I was trying all sorts with my preparation with the tyres, and nothing seemed to be clicking, and did something totally different on that last lap, and it just all came alive. The lap was awesome, and just, yeah, so happy to be P2.
What was the difference? What did you do different?
Oh, I mean, I was going fast on the outlap, slow on the outlap, prepping the outlap. It was just, and the last one was a bit of a roll of the dice, and I had a big moment at turn 1, but it just all came together, and I was really surprised when I crossed the line. I knew it was a good lap, but to see that I was between the McLarens, yeah, buzzing and looking forward to tomorrow.
And in terms of race pace, we saw earlier on you were honing in on the top 3, didn't quite get there, but degradation looks really tough out there. How are you feeling over the full distance?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think the medium tire and the sprint was really difficult. Obviously, I think most drivers will start on that at the front of the field tomorrow. And then the hard, no one's ran all weekend. So nobody knows right now if it's going to be a 1 or a 2 stop. We know the McLarens are going to be quick, but I'll be doing everything to try and stay where we are or try and jump ahead of them.
Should be a lot of fun. Good luck, George.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oscar Piastri, Grand Prix pole position for the first time, and what a way to do it. 2 laps that would have had it there for you. You just seem hooked up today.
I'm glad it looked like that because it didn't feel like that. I think, yeah, Q3, yeah, just found a lot of pace. You know, Q1 and Q2 I was genuinely struggling. And yeah, the car just came alive in Q3, and I think I came alive in Q3. So no, happy with what I did at the end. Even still, the laps were a little bit scruffy, but no, very, very. I mean, I'm just pumped to be on pole, so very happy.
You've just on the fastest ever lap of this circuit. New asphalt, loads of grip, obviously a car that's working well. How much of a buzz is it to drive at these speeds?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think with the new surface, it's extremely grippy, which for us, you know, it's the best feeling in the world. So the only thing that comes with that is when you lose grip, it bites. I think you've probably seen a lot of snaps, a lot of moments this weekend, and with the surface we've got, it's pretty tricky. But when you hook it up, it feels pretty mega. So I'll take the fastest lap of Shanghai.
Big smiles from you, but there is still a race to do tomorrow, still a Grand Prix win to add to this pole position. And you had the dress rehearsal earlier on. Car looked good, but Ferrari looked exceptionally strong as well. How are you feeling? Obviously, a bit of clear air for you, hopefully, at the start of the race.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is hopefully going to be a help. I was going to make sure I keep that clean air, but I was pretty happy after the sprint. I think we did the most that we could have. I was pretty happy with, you know, I would have been happier with one spot higher, but how the race turned out, I couldn't have asked for much more. So I feel like we learned a lot this morning, and looking forward to trying to put that into use tomorrow.
All right, well, congratulations, Oscar. Good luck for the race tomorrow. Well done.
Well, it just goes to show how competitive Formula One is in 2025. A Ferrari and a Red Bull on the front row for the sprint, and a McLaren and a Mercedes on the front row for the Grand Prix tomorrow. It's Oscar Piastri with his first pole for the Formula One Grand Prix here in Shanghai. And a new lap record, a 1:36. To give you some context, that's some 3 seconds faster than Verstappen's pole last year of a 1:33.6. So all smiles for Oscar. Lando's managing to smile there too. He qualified in 3rd. Okay, this is what we've got coming up for the race day tomorrow.
How
qualify for the Grand Prix, shall we? The big one to come on Sunday afternoon here in Shanghai. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen. 56 laps to go in tomorrow's race for what is round 2 of this Formula 1 season. In 2025, and round this track, we shall go 3.38 miles long. Michael Schumacher with the race lap record. 16 corners, 7 to the left and 9 to the right. You take your lap distance at full throttle. And for about 68% of that lap, there are 52 gear changes and a maximum speed of well over 200 miles an hour. 2 DRS zones as well, and the 3 tyre compounds. And they're taking quite a punishment, these tyres, this weekend. At the hard is the C2, the medium, which we use for the sprints, is the C3, and the soft, which we'll use for qualifying in the main, is the C4. And all day long, the fans have been flocking to this Shanghai circuit, and they've all come to cheer on their favourite driver, and pretty much every driver on the grid is represented. But there is a lot of red for China, red for Ferrari, and a lot of very happy Ferrari fans after Lewis Hamilton won the sprint from pole position. Can he, though, Martin Brundle, go and qualify somewhere up the front and do it all over again?
Yeah, certainly vintage Lewis we saw in the sprint, but he's got his work cut out, as they all have. It's so close between the top 4 teams. You'd have to say, on previous form, if the McLaren boys hook up all 3 sectors with an excellent lap, they ought to be, one of them ought to be on pole position. But I think it's all to play for. Anybody in the top 4 teams have got enough car underneath them and enough speed to find themselves on the front row of the grid here. I mean, it is, you know, it's a half a tenth is all you need.
Absolutely. Brand new surface here. It's been completely resurfaced, the track, and that is giving us extra grip, and as a result, faster and faster lap times as well. The all-time best lap record has been shattered by Lewis Hamilton.
And the good thing about the sprints these days, in the latter days, is that they're out of platform. They can make changes to their cars and think about qualifying, and of course think about the race tomorrow when they've got an awful lot more fuel on board. They will almost certainly be using the hard tyre in the race, but they've only got 2 sets of those, so they wouldn't use them in qualifying. They didn't risk those 2 sets of tyres, so it's a bit of a gamble and an adventure. They'll find out how they go in the race, but you have to assume they'll be more durable than the mediums we saw in the 19-lapper this morning. Ted is in the pit lane.
Hello Martin, hello Crofty, hello everybody. Yes, morning all, but not the morning race we had earlier. That certainly sharpened the minds. But now, with qualifying almost begun, everyone was absolutely as keen as anything to get on with it. As soon as the little finished, Crofty, they were all the way. As soon as the drivers were allowed to leave the pits, they were down there waiting. I'm counting at least 15 drivers queued up at the red light, waiting at least 4.5 minutes while their tyre pressures drop. And that's really the reason, because they can get out there. It's still blisteringly hot down here in the afternoon sun here in Shanghai, but any opportunity, just let the tyre pressures drop, let the tyre relax a bit, get the contact patch a little bit bigger, they will take it. Max Verstappen, one of the drivers who's changed the car between the sprint race and qualifying. Lots of others have as well. I'm seeing mostly all used soft tyres while all the drivers just go out there and have a look at how the changes actually shake out, how the car feels after making these changes between the sprint race and this qualifying session. And yeah, well, what would you think of the drivers we should look out for, Crofty, in terms of making amends for earlier on? Lawson, Doohan, the Haas drivers, lots of people with something to prove in this session.
All of the above and more. There's your green light, right at the end of the pit lane, and we can get on with it, Martin.
Yes, so why there are regulations when you your tyres must be a minimum pressure when they come out of the blankets at 70 degrees. So they try to let them cool down, because these are very high pressures. The reason the pressures are high is the cars carry so much downforce. You've got an absolutely flat out long left-hander in turn 7 and a super long, very fast accelerating turn 13 onto the back straight, and they're seeing such peak loads in the corners that you need the integrity of the pressure, tyre pressure, to help the tyre out in those highly loaded corners. And so that's what the teams are up to. It's a bit cat and mouse really, isn't it, on these tyre pressures, but you have to do it for performance. So they'll
just creep round and try and lose a little bit more temperature and pressure. But then, of course, they've got to heat them back up. And there's a lot of very clever systems going on inside what we call the biscuit tins and the systems inside to control the temperature of the wheel rim, for example, and the carcass and sidewall of the tyre, and the surface of the tyre as well. So heating engineers, they all are right at the moment, trying to get that absolutely spot on. And you'll see the difference in turns 1, 2 and 3. If they've not got that right, they're sliding all over the place.
And it's worth stating the average temperature in Shanghai in this time of the year, in March, rarely exceeds 18 degrees. At the moment it's 26 degrees and the track temperature 40 degrees. We're on board with Liam Lawson as he makes his way out onto the track. He started last for the sprint with Nico Hulkenberg in the pit lane, and his teammate Max Verstappen was on the front row. If you want to ride on board with Liam Lawson for this session, or however many sessions he manages in this qualifying, you can do so. There's your QR code. We'll take you straight to your Sky Sports app, and you use your login to access the onboards feature with the team radios too. Sky Stream, Sky Q, Sky Glass customers, and now customers can use the interactive button on their remote controls. And the 4 drivers not using any buttons at the moment, or 3 I should say, are George Russell, Kimi Antonelli and Max Verstappen. They're the 3 that are yet to make their way out onto the track. Oscar Piastri has many fans here, I can tell you that, as does Lando Norris. Lando Norris with the first pole of the season in Australia. Oscar Piastri with the 7th front row. He's still waiting for a first pole in Formula 1. And here's Carlos Sainz with the Williams team now, man who has 6 poles to his name. Take us through this lap.
I think they've made quite a lot of changes to the Williams. They were very disappointed in their performance, especially in the sprint. Today, Carlos does have a really wide turn into that first corner, but already this is turn 5. Downhill braking, turn 6, and get the car around. And just, you've got to have all the braking gear shifting down long before the corner, which you should do on the road as well. And this is the turn 7 I was telling you about, absolutely flat out for a long period of time. 8, they have to lift, and a couple of downshifts. Keep it to the right-hand side because you've got a couple of lefts coming up that are quite tight. A short straight now into a critical little left-hander that sets you up for the next 1.5 miles, 2 kilometers there. Now you've got to get it through 13, picking up the throttle, and you can feel it in the seat of your pants when the car's ready to take full throttle and you launch off that banking. You'll keep it roughly to the left-hand side. Don't waste a metre down the back straight. I mean, the cars are 5 meters long, so if you waste 5 meters, you've wasted a car length. And this is the key point. Where do you hit the brake? He was about 105 meters, connects up with the apex nicely, and again, hard power on. Now it's slightly unsighted from this angle. Look, this last corner. There you go, turn it in, ride the curb on the exit, but not the gravel. Keep it to the right-hand side for the shortest run to the line, and Sainz does a 33 flat. Kind of okay.
Takes him
Not like
third
that.
fastest. That is not okay for Jack Doohan, who ended the sprint making contact and picked up a 10-second penalty for his efforts with Gabriel Bortoleto, and 2 penalty points on his licence. He's had a little spin in the early parts of this qualifying, and you might see drivers out there for a couple of push laps on the same set of tyres. We saw that in the sprint qualifying in the early stages there, where they'll go for a flying lap and then cool the tyres down and go for it again. So we might see quite a bit of track activity here. And talking of activity, Lando Norris setting a couple of good sectors on his first flying lap. Oscar Piastri has gone a little bit quicker through the first sector than his teammates.
When we saw one of the McLarens go out when Teb was talking, it was on used tyres, so they decided to start on, but that might not be such a bad thing today if you've had a heat cycle through them. That looks, the front of McLaren looks a little bit ponderous there for Lando Norris going through the hip. It looked like he had to wait a long time.
Both McLarens on used soft tyres for this run. Norris goes quicker than Pierre Gasly and quicker than anyone else with a 1:32.0. Lewis Hamilton, meanwhile, wrestling away is his teammate Charles Leclerc, but Hamilton's gone fastest in the middle sector. Pick up Leclerc through the final corner. Is this enough for a top spot for him? No, only 6th fastest for Charles Leclerc. Meanwhile, Hamilton crosses the line and goes quickest of all, about 4/10 up on Lando Norris, and there's Oscar Piastri in the distance, going over the curb and going to the top of the timing charts by a 1/10 of a second from Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah,
Well, I think when we went on board with Leclerc, he was in the middle of a bit of an adventure down at the hairpin. This presumably is going to be Jack Doohan spinning. Yeah, picked up the throttle, got a little bit trigger happy with the throttle pedal there. Too much torque, lights up the rear axle, and round she goes.
Is that just a lack of patience there, Martin? He's just gone too early on it?
Yeah, you've just got to feed the throttle in a little bit with these cars. They've got very long throttle pedals anyway to help the drivers to feed. Yeah, that's what we joined with, and that's why Leclerc is only down in 8th place.
Yeah, he's played second fiddle to his teammates so far this weekend. That has Charles Leclerc after having the upper hand in the first race in Australia. So we've got Piastri, Hamilton, and now Kimi Antonelli joining the top 3, and ahead of the Alpine of Gasly. Round the final corner comes Max Verstappen to start a flying lap.
And Norris's 32.0 was actually deleted for track limits, so he hasn't got a time on the board.
Yeah, Jack Doohan's had a lap time deleted, obviously, and has dived back into the pits again because he clearly went over the white lines by going off. But that's, whether it be costly or not for Lando Norris, it's certainly not the smooth start to a qualifying session he would have wanted.
He's having a bit of a difficult day. I think they find there's a lot of speed in that McLaren, but they find
I'm dead.